The matte gray luxury sedan cruised through the quiet, tree-lined streets of Meadow Ridge, a wealthy suburban enclave with trimmed lawns and an air of careful perfection. Behind the wheel sat Dr. Alana Vance, a poised, sharp-eyed woman in her late 40s. Though dressed simply in a navy blazer and slacks, her presence commanded attention. Unknown to most, Alana was the newly appointed Director of National Security Affairs, the highest-ranking black woman to ever hold the role. She exhaled, her fingers relaxing around the steering wheel. A long day of back-to-back intelligence briefings and diplomatic calls had drained her. All she wanted was solitude, her garden, and maybe a glass of red wine. But fate had other plans. Flashing red and blue lights exploded in her rearview mirror. The sudden burst of a siren pierced the calm. Alana's brow furrowed. She glanced at the speedometer, well below the limit. No stop signs missed. No erratic movement. Still, she pulled over without hesitation. A patrol cruiser parked behind her, engine rumbling. A lone officer exited with heavy, purposeful steps. He was white, mid-30s, with a buzz cut and the kind of smug stiffness Alana had seen too many times. His nameplate read Officer M. Harris. He approached without a greeting. "Step out of the car." Alana didn't move. "Excuse me?" "You heard me," he snapped. "You were driving suspiciously. Step out of the vehicle." Alana kept her tone even. "Suspicious how, officer?" Harris's eyes scanned her face, then the luxury dashboard, then her skin. "Registration and license. Now." Alana handed him the documents without argument. "Everything's current," she said calmly. Harris snatched the papers and turned on his heel, retreating to his cruiser. Alana watched him in her mirror, a familiar heaviness pressing on her chest. It was always the same look, like she didn't belong, like her presence in that kind of car, in that kind of neighborhood demanded explanation. 5 minutes passed before he returned. Documents in hand, but no apology on his lips. "Got ID?" he barked. Alana frowned. "You already have my license. Why do you need more?" Harris tilted his head, sneering. "You're awfully mouthy for someone being investigated." "Investigated for what?" He leaned in, his breath hot. "People like you don't usually drive cars like this. Unless there's something shady going on." There it was. The veil dropped. Alana's patience thinned. "Officer Harris, unless you have a legal reason, I won't be providing additional ID." Harris stiffened. "That's uncooperative." "That's so," Alana nodded. The officer's posture shifted. His right hand now hovered near his holstered sidearm. "I'm not going to ask again. You're being uncooperative. That's enough to bring you in." Alana inhaled slowly. "You're escalating a situation where there is no threat. I know my rights." Harris's voice dropped to a low, menacing growl. "You think you're better than the law?" "No," Alana said, holding his gaze. "I am the law." His face twitched. "Don't play smart with me, lady. You're about to regret it." Alana reached in her bag slowly and pulled out her phone. "I'm calling the sheriff." Harris stepped forward. "Put the phone down." "I'm well within my rights," she said, already dialing. "This encounter is being reported." "Reported to who?" He laughed. "Your boyfriend?" The line connected. "This is Alana Vance," she said into the phone. "I'm being unlawfully detained by an officer. Send a sheriff now." Harris's confidence flickered. "Wait, Vance?" he echoed. "Alana Vance." Alana didn't reply. She gave her location and hung up. "Help's on the way. I suggest you reconsider your behavior." Harris took a step back, but his scowl remained. "This ain't over." Minutes passed. Then came the crunch of gravel beneath tires. A black SUV pulled up behind the patrol car. Sheriff Gabriel Ortiz, a tall Latino man in his 50s, stepped out with a grim look and direct stride. "What's going on here, Harris?" he asked, his tone clipped. Harris stood rigid. "Stopped her for suspicious driving. She got hostile, refused ID." Ortiz turned to Alana. "Ma'am, are you all right?" Alana nodded. "I am now." But this officer overstepped, and not by accident. Ortiz studied her face and recognition dawned. His eyes widened. "Director Vance." Harris visibly recoiled. "Director?" he whispered as if punched in the gut. Alana's gaze didn't soften. "Yes, and I won't let this be buried." The sheriff turned to Harris. "You're done. Step away from her vehicle now." Harris paled, but before anyone could say more, the radio on Ortiz's shoulder crackled. Another call. The moment held, and then the flashing lights behind her faded slightly. "You didn't need to," Ortiz snapped. "You did that all on your own." Reluctantly, Harris unhooked his badge and sidearm and placed them on the hood of his patrol car. Alana watched him, not with revenge in her eyes, but with disappointment. She had seen men like him her whole life. They didn't fear justice, only exposure. Ortiz turned back to Alana. "Director Vance, I'm truly sorry. I had no idea." "This isn't about my title," she interrupted. "It's about what would have happened if I didn't have one." Ortiz nodded slowly. "You're right. I want a formal complaint filed," she added. "But more than that, I want a change in your department. Reviews, oversight, community accountability." "You'll have it," Ortiz replied without hesitation. "We've needed it for a long time." A squad car arrived to escort Harris back to the station. He didn't speak. As he passed Alana, he avoided her gaze, but the shame etched across his face said enough. His world had shifted, maybe for good. Alana remained beside her car, breathing in the heavy night air. She felt the pressure of history behind her, of names not spoken, of people who couldn't call the sheriff and demand justice. Tonight, she hadn't just defended herself, she had drawn a line in the sand. Ortiz walked over, quieter now. "If you ever need support moving this higher, I'll stand with you." Alana gave him a short nod. "You'll be hearing from my office." With that, she slid into her car and pulled away, the incident behind her, but far from forgotten. The video footage was released to the public. Officer Harris's body cam, paired with cell phone video from a bystander, captured the entire exchange. His aggressive tone, his language, and Alana's unwavering calm. The public reaction was swift and outraged. News outlets ran headlines like, "Top National Security Director racially profiled during routine stop. Badge or not, Black lives still suspect." Harris resigned before disciplinary hearings began. Civil rights organizations praised Alana for handling the confrontation with restraint and authority. But she didn't want praise, she wanted reform. She was called to testify before the State Committee on Law Enforcement Conduct. Dressed simply in a charcoal suit, she delivered her message clearly. "This isn't about one officer. It's about a culture that allows bias to fester. We've normalized suspicion toward people who look like me. I don't want sympathy. I want systems rebuilt." Sheriff Ortiz also testified, supporting every word she said. His department began implementing sweeping changes, de-escalation training, community oversight boards, and a zero-tolerance policy for racial bias. Alana returned to her post, busier than ever but more committed than before. Her story had become a spark, not just for headlines but for change across multiple cities, where officials were now being held accountable. One evening, while watering her plants, Alana's phone buzzed with a message from Sheriff Ortiz. "Another officer flagged and suspended today. Thanks for forcing us to look inward." She looked out at the dusk setting across her neighborhood. The world hadn't changed overnight, but something had started. Justice, real justice, was slow, but it was coming. And this time it had a witness.